Hey, Takesha. Thanks for coming in today. Last time you had mentioned that, things at home were growing up were a bit chaotic. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that today?
Oh yeah. Um, I guess so as I was growing up, my I grew up with my dad, because I ended up going to live with him when I was younger. Um, and um just trying to hold it all together. As I've gotten older, it's just been more chaotic in my life because of the dysfunction
Yeah.
of my childhood. My family was a total mess. My mom was never there. Um, and and when she was, it was a lot of yelling and fussing and cussing, and dad slamming doors, mom just kind of yelling at us for whatever and any reason. And now that I'm older, I see that the remnants of that is kind of affecting how I engage with other people, especially in my relationships. And I guess I tend to push people away when I feel that they're getting, pushy with me, or I don't know, confrontational to some extent. And so it's been challenging um in that instance.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of weight to carry, especially as a child and even now. Um, it makes sense that, it would be hard for you with relationships now. Maybe some trust is probably hard for you now, things like that.
Yeah, they say I'm a lot really guarded.
Mhm.
My friends tell me I'm guarded all the time, and I'm supposed to be able to talk to them about stuff, but I tend to shy away from that, um, and just kind of pretend nothing's bothering me.
Mm. Yeah, and that kind of watchfulness, it probably helped you as a child, survive going through all of those times. But it does sound a little bit exhausting, huh?
Definitely, definitely so. It gets to the point where I just feel broken and that I
Mm,
don't know how to cope in
mm,
those moments. And it's also frustrating. I get anxious all the time,
mm.
and it's just really, really hard to deal with certain situations.
It's really brave of you to say that. As we work on things together, um, you know, we can do it slowly so that you feel safer in your relationships, not by forcing trust or forcing understanding, or anything like that, but understanding what your body and mind are trying to protect. All right.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that was pretty good. So we'll go to, hi, Rachel. How are you today? Hi, Rachel. How are you today?
Okay.
You're doing okay. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming in to talk with me this afternoon. I really appreciate your openness. And I remember you talking to me about your situation with your family and growing up in a very chaotic, dysfunctional family life. But I'd like you to kind of talk to me a little bit more about that process for you.
Yeah. Well, my dad worked a lot and he was gone, and my mom is someone who's just very passive aggressive. So I always felt like everything was my fault. Um, my brother felt like he could never really do anything wrong. And so even as a child, when I was struggling with my feelings or my emotions, they weren't real because his always seemed to trump mine. Um, I always felt like my mom was very harsh with me and judgmental. And now, as an adult, I struggle with anyone who wants to critique me or try to persuade me to do things that maybe are different than mine, just because it triggers the way she was always so passive aggressive and never really understanding or even wanting to hear my viewpoints.
Wow, that sounds very, very, very much um, a difficult way of growing up. I thank you for sharing and trusting me with all of that. Um, I want you to know that you're not broken, and that through out this process that we're going to figure out a way for you to overcome. Um, I also can relate because I grew up in a very similar environment that was toxic and lots of unpredictable situations coming at me and emotional distancing. That went on for a long time, and I carried a lot of shame and fear about certain things that I would repeat patterns of my parents and
Mhm.
the functional things that they would, you know, put throw out at us as my siblings and I grew up. I learned that healing doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means um, that you just basically learn how to live in a difficult space with more awareness and trying to figure out the choices that you have in those moments.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm always a disappointment. Like I'm always waiting and reading other people's facial expressions or waiting for their comments or corrections. And I just feel like I don't really do a lot of things right, and I just want to find that confidence.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, your awareness of this situation today and right now is very, very powerful. It's very important that you're aware of where you are and how this is making you feel. You've taken in a great deal of the first step of being here. So I definitely want to applaud you for that. Um, and showing up and speaking out loud about what's going on internally with you is very important. So I applaud you again for that. Um, I want you to know that this is a safe space and that I am here to walk you through a very comforting process so that you can get through and recognize how to overcome and get move forward and move past this situation.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Okay, and let's work this out together.
Yes, ma'am.